At every instant of your life, you are at war. A silent, invisible, but constant war. An enemy you cannot see surrounds you, lives inside you, sits on your skin, floats in the air you breathe, in the water you drink, even on the objects you touch. Billions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi lie in wait, ready to seize the smallest opportunity to turn your body into a home, a factory, a source of food. And yet you are still alive. And there is only one reason for that. An invisible army that never rests, never negotiates, and never surrenders. The immune system. Imagine an army so vast it contains millions of different soldiers, each with specific functions, unique weapons, and varied strategies. Some are guards on the front lines, others are silent assassins, some work as intelligence services, others as weapons factories on an almost infinite scale. And they all work together without you ever giving a single order. If this army failed for just a few hours, you would not be here to hear this story. But how does this army work? What happens inside your body when you suffer the simplest accident? A cut on your finger, for example. What happens when a virus slips in through the air and tries to hijack your cells? And how does the body decide whether to unleash a devastating attack or just a small reinforcement? Today, you are going to witness this invisible war in detail. But be warned. The deeper we go, the more you'll realize that to live is, in truth, to survive an eternal war. It all begins on a normal day. You are distracted, walking, and you step on a rusty nail. The skin, which until then functioned as an almost impenetrable wall, is pierced. This is the first breach of defense. Immediately, invisible bacteria on the surface slip into the wound. They waste no time. They start consuming nutrients from your body and multiplying. Every 20 minutes, their numbers double. At first, they go unnoticed, but soon exponential growth turns a small threat into a horde. This is the moment the war begins. On the front line, the guardians known as macrophages stand ready. These huge cells patrol the body's borders like silent sentinels. As soon as they detect invaders, they don't hesitate. They engulf entire bacteria and dissolve them with enzymes. A single macrophage can destroy up to 100 enemies at once. But they don't just kill. They also send alarm signals, releasing substances that increase inflammation in the area. The swelling and redness you notice around a cut aren't just annoyances. They are marks of a battle underway. While the macrophages fight, they realize they won't hold out alone. So they call for reinforcements. Messenger proteins are released like bright signals across the battlefield, guiding additional troops. Soon, neutrophils, fast-attack cells, leave their patrols in the blood and rush to the invasion site. They are like kamikaze soldiers. They attack with such fury that they end up killing both enemies and allies. They create sticky traps to ensnare bacteria, and after a few days of fierce fighting, they commit programmed suicide to prevent causing more harm than good. But if even with reinforcements the invasion continues, something bigger must be activated. This is the moment when the strategic brain of the immune system enters, the dendritic cells. They collect pieces of the dead enemies and travel to the lymph nodes, fortresses packed with soldiers awaiting orders. It is there that the war changes scale. Inside the lymph nodes, billions of T cells and B cells lie dormant, waiting only for the right signal to awaken. But not just any signal. Each cell carries a unique configuration, like a key that fits only one specific lock. The dendritic cell, when presenting a fragment of the enemy, seeks precisely the cell that matches that pattern perfectly. And when it finally finds it, the effect is explosive. The activated T cell begins to multiply at a frantic pace. In no time, thousands of copies emerge, each one ready to fight that specific enemy. Some become memory cells, which will forever store the knowledge of that invader. Others march straight into the battlefield, coordinating attacks and reinforcing tired troops. And a third group activates the B cells, true weapons factories. Once activated, B cells begin producing millions of antibodies, tiny Y-shaped proteins designed to bind precisely to the targeted enemy. These antibodies flood the blood and spread throughout the body. As soon as they encounter the invader, they latch onto it like handcuffs, paralyzing it and marking it for execution. Suddenly, macrophages and neutrophils have a much easier job. They just devour the marked enemies. The battlefield changes scene. Before, the bacteria were dominating, multiplying without pause. Now, Surrounded by antibodies and attacked from all sides, they begin to lose ground. The turnaround is brutal. In just hours, the tide of war reverses. The invasion is contained. The body, even at the cost of thousands of sacrificed cells, survives once again. But the war doesn't end here. An essential part of this victory is memory. Some T and B cells remain alive for decades, sometimes for an entire lifetime. They preserve the information of the defeated enemy, and if it returns, the body will already be prepared to attack immediately. This immune memory is the reason vaccines work. By exposing the body to a weakened or harmless version of an invader, they train the invisible army without causing the real disease. So, when the real enemy shows up, the battle is practically won before it even begins. But the immune system is not only a hero, it can also make catastrophic mistakes. Sometimes it confuses the body's own cells with invaders. This is the case of autoimmune diseases, where the invisible army turns against the very nation it was meant to protect. In other situations, it overreacts to harmless substances like pollen or dust, causing allergies. The balance between defense and attack is fragile, and any failure can be devastating. Still, even with its flaws, the immune system is one of life's most complex and fascinating constructions. Think about it. At every moment, billions of microscopic battles are happening inside you. Cells sacrifice themselves, proteins are fired like weapons, enemies are devoured, others are marked for death. All of this without you noticing. You don't feel the fight. You don't give orders. You don't plan strategies. Your body simply fights for you. Now imagine for a second that you could see this war with the naked eye. Imagine looking at your hand and seeing millions of invisible soldiers fighting enemies in silence. Imagine seeing antibodies clinging to viruses, macrophages devouring bacteria, neutrophils creating deadly traps. You would realize something we rarely think about. The simple fact of being alive is a daily victory, one with blood and sacrifice on an invisible battlefield. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson. Life seems ordinary day to day, full of small problems, commitments, and distractions. But on an invisible level, every breath you take is an achievement. Every sunrise is the result of a war won. You are, quite literally, the unconscious general of an army that never stops fighting. This invisible army is what keeps you alive. And the next time you feel a scratch in your throat, or notice swelling around a cut, or even get a fever, remember, these symptoms aren't just annoyances. They are signs that the army is fighting, that the war is happening right now inside you. And most of the time, you will win without even realizing it. If you've made it this far, now you know that living isn't just existing. Living is fighting. Living is surviving invisible battles happening every second. And that by itself should change the way you see life. And here's the final hook. If this system is already so fascinating, even when simplified to the point of ignoring hundreds of details, imagine the real complexity. The biochemistry involved, the thousands of types of signaling molecules, the interactions we don't even fully understand yet. Life is incredibly complicated, but in that complication lies infinite beauty. An entire universe hidden inside you, working non-stop. And now I want to hear from you. What impresses you the most about the immune system? The killer cells, the antibody factories, the memory that makes you nearly invincible against old enemies? Tell me in the comments, because I want to know what struck you the most. And if this dive into the invisible army that keeps you alive has sparked your curiosity, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss the next episodes, where we'll explore even more incredible secrets happening inside your body. After all, this invisible universe isn't just science. It's the story of your survival.